Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Today, I want to ask a question. Are you ready for the Philippines? Before coming to the Philippines, you need to evaluate some things first to know if the Philippines is the right fit for you. The reason why I say this is that some expats may find it challenging to adapt and thrive here, which can ultimately hinder their ability to fully appreciate the country. As you may know, in order to have a positive expat experience, it requires an awareness of these potential obstacles prior to moving. Expats must meticulously consider factors such as infrastructure limitations, environmental risk, cultural adjustment, healthcare access, safety issues, and financial readiness before making their decision to relocate. Key note to take from this is a successful experience here lies in thoughtful planning and realistic expectations. Stay tuned. For many expats, the significant cultural adjustment is one of the biggest obstacles. Although many Filipinos speak English and are typically hospitable, the underlying cultural values can differ widely from those in Western societies. Filipinos tend to communicate indirectly, emphasizing harmony and avoiding direct conflict to save face. This might be confusing or frustrating for expats accustomed to direct communication. To avoid offending someone, a direct no is often replaced with a vague maybe or a non committal response. This can lead to misunderstandings in both personal and professional interactions. Also, their Filipino time may take some getting used to. It refers to a more relaxed approach to punctuality. While it's not an excuse for being late, it often suggests that meetings, activities, or even service at establishments may not begin exactly on time. This can be a constant source of annoyance and perceived inefficiency for people who place high importance on strict adherence to schedules. Flexibility and patience are essential in these situations. Another thing to consider if you are deciding if the Philippines is right for you is that the foundation of Filipino society is family, and strong connections to the community are ingrained. Large family gatherings and tight knit communities are some examples of how this manifests. For those expats who are introverts and are accustomed to more independent lifestyles, this can feel overwhelming or invasive. Expats may feel isolated or unable to fully integrate if they struggle to understand or participate in these communal dynamics. Here is another thing that might confuse some expats. The Filipino phrase, bahala na, which means leave it to God or whatever happens, just happens. It can convey a strong sense of optimism and resilience, but it can also be perceived by expats as a lack of preparation or a resignation to fate. This mindset may be difficult for expats who value proactive problem solving and adherence to strict plans to adjust to. If you call it out by saying, "Why don't you just do something about it?" it might be taken the wrong way. Being very sensitive, Filipinos may take criticism, even constructive criticism, very personally. Locals may feel resentful towards expats who offer candid criticism or who publicly criticize aspects of Filipino culture. It is always advisable to take a more subtle and diplomatic approach. Some expats may have discomfort with infrastructure and face urban challenges, especially in large cities like Manila, Cebu, and Davao. Expats typically gravitate towards these cities because they offer modern amenities, especially for visitors from more developed countries. Manila, for instance, is often ranked among the world's most congested cities, with commutes taking up to hours of the day and causing significant stress. This issue is not only unique to Manila, other urban areas also experience major traffic problems. If you have your own personal vehicle, it can take you forever to get from point A to point B, like hours. While there are numerous public transportation options available, such as taxis, tricycles, buses, and jeepneys, they tend to be disorganized, uncomfortable, and do not meet the efficiency and safety standards of Western countries. While ride sharing apps like Grab have improved convenience, navigating the public transport system can still be a challenge. Even though internet speeds have been increasing, especially in large cities, they can still be unreliable and slower than what many expats are used to. There are also more frequent power outages, which may affect internet connectivity. This can be frustrating for digital nomads or those who rely heavily on consistent, fast internet for work or leisure. Power outages can last anywhere from a few seconds to several hours or even days, and they are common, particularly outside of major cities. In some areas, the water supply may also fluctuate. For comfort or work, expats who depend significantly on uninterrupted utilities might find these disruptions difficult to manage. Another thing to consider before coming to the Philippines is that driving on roads that are not major highways can be dangerous and quite a challenge, given their small size. And despite this, most Filipino drivers remain aggressive. They drive extremely fast, disregarding traffic laws, and there is not enough signage around. So defensive driving is not an option, it's a must. Many expats choose not to drive themselves, relying instead on ride sharing services or drivers. Those who enjoy driving or are accustomed to well regulated roads may find this challenging. Another thing some expat must worry about is the environment. Expats who have respiratory conditions or are used to cleaner surroundings may find the high levels of air pollution in major cities like Manila concerning. It is dusty and some areas are unkept. So, if you have serious dust allergy, the Philippines may not be for you. The prospect of a cheaper cost of living in the Philippines attracts a lot of expats. Even while it is typically less expensive than Western countries, it is frequently unreasonable to expect to maintain a strictly Western lifestyle at deeply discounted prices, which might leave some expats feeling let down. Imported goods, from food to electronics and appliances, are often significantly more expensive than in their home countries due to import taxes and limited availability. The grocery cost of some goods at home will increase quickly. In certain markets, expats may be given higher prices for goods, especially in tourist destinations or while interacting with specific service providers. This is commonly known as foreigner tax or expat pricing. For expats with school-aged children, securing quality education can be a significant expense. International schools charge high tuition costs, often between $20,000 to $24,000 per child annually or more, even if their curricula are on par with those in the West. Due to curricular discrepancies and language hurdles, foreign children typically cannot attend public schools. If you are on a tight budget for education, you may find this to be a major hurdle. As for modern flats or homes with amenities on par with those in the West, they can still be expensive, even if rent may be less than in many Western cities, especially outside of upscale neighborhoods like Makati or BGC. You may need to modify your expectations if you hope to find a large, fully furnished home at an incredible low price. Navigating government processes in the Philippines can be a test of patience, and the issue of corruption, while being addressed, remains a concern. Bureaucracy is frequently slow, marked by a lot of paperwork, several levels of approval, and occasionally ambiguous processes. It might take a lot of time and be frustrating to get permits, driver's licenses, visas, or to start a business. This will be a continuous problem for some expats who are frequently frustrated by the Philippines bureaucracy. In the Philippines, it is wishful thinking to have simpler and more organized procedures. While corruption is actively being addressed by the government here in the Philippines, it can still be encountered in various forms, from petty bribery to more significant illegal activities. Expats may encounter circumstances where felicitation fees are suggested or anticipated in order to speed up procedures. People who are uncomfortable working in such an environment or who have a strong moral stand against corruption may find it difficult to live here in the Philippines. Depending on the person, office, or even the time of day, rules and regulations may occasionally be applied inconsistently. This lack of consistency and organization can be unsettling for those who rely on clear, universally enforced laws. While many expat areas are generally safe, the Philippines is not without its security challenges. Petty crimes such as scams, theft, and in some places, more serious criminal activity are common in some Philippine cities, just like in any other sizable urban area. Expats, particularly those who are visibly affluent, can be targets. One of the prominent scams are locals overcharging on fares for tricycles, taxis, or other ride-sharing services. That's why a high level of vigilance and adherence to safety precautions are necessary. Keep in mind that you don't want to be overly cautious. This might rub the locals the wrong way, and it will make it hard for you to unwind and take in the surroundings. The Philippines is also extremely vulnerable to natural disasters such as typhoons, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and related phenomena like flooding and landslides. Just recently, I was staying in a friend's provincial home and it rains heavily there. Her whole house was flooded. We had to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning scooping water out. If you're thinking about relocating to or living in these high-risk areas, You must be completely aware of and understand the risk involved. Typhoon season typically runs from June to November, with the peak risk in July and August. This season can be a major disadvantage for people who dislike prolonged periods of rain or the possibility of storm related disruption. Earthquakes are also frequent, from minor tremors some years to severe ones in other years. This component of life may be uncomfortable for some expats who are especially vulnerable to environmental hazards or who have a small tolerance for disturbances brought on by natural occurrences. Being ready and being aware of local emergency procedures are essential in these cases. All year round, the whole country is characterized by excessive humidity and temperatures. Although January through April are milder months, the weather is still warm overall. Some expats who struggle with intense heat, high humidity, or require cooler climates to be comfortable may find the weather here draining. There are countless stories of expats who died from heat stroke. One around my neighborhood in Bakon died in his house, and his body was found 3 days later after the neighbors questioned why he hasn't exited his house like he typically does. Another I know of died on a ferry going to Cebu during the afternoon times, which is typically the hottest part of the day, and countless other stories. My recommendation is to check with your healthcare physician in your home country before coming to the Philippines. Another thing to consider if you are thinking about coming to the Philippines is whether you can work for a foreign company in order to make foreign money. Or if you don't have a remote job that makes passive income, don't move to the Philippines. While the cost of living is lower, local salaries for many positions are also significantly lower than in Western countries. Expats expecting to earn a Western level salary while living in the Philippines might be disappointed unless they are working remotely for a foreign company. While there are opportunities for entrepreneurs, for expats expecting to capitalize on these opportunities, don't bother. Because navigating business registration and regulations can be a complex situation due to the varying local ordinances set in place to benefit affluent Filipinos or Filipinos in powerful positions. Ultimately, the biggest obstacle to a successful expat experience in the Philippines is frequently a lack of patience and adaptability. From long lines at supermarkets to delays in government procedures, things tend to go more slowly, and expats who are extremely impatient or who demand quick fixes will always be frustrated. Opposition to change, adherence to Western standards, or a constant comparison of everything to your home country will undoubtedly result in discontent. So, consider these things to determine if the Philippines is right for you. Whether it's because of traffic, red tape, or cultural miscommunications, there will always be times when you feel frustrated. In times like these, you must develop resilience and a capacity to keep the experience from being derailed by these setbacks. Of course, a far fuller and more fulfilling experience is typically had by those expats who strive to acquire some basic Filipino phrases, comprehend local customs, sample local cuisine, and interact with the community. People who don't try to integrate and stay in expat bubbles risk feeling alone and missing out on the real Philippines. For some expats, the Philippines is not a universally applicable destination for them. Here are some reasons why some expats should reconsider relocating to the Philippines. If they lack flexibility and find it difficult to adjust to cultural differences, especially about the indirect communication of most Filipinos and the Filipino time used here quite often. If they have little patience for urban problems like heavy traffic, erratic public transportation, and sporadic utility outages. The Philippines is mostly for people who see the long term benefits of being here. Delayed gratification is definitely needed. Without taking into account the increased costs of imported items or certain services like international schooling and first rate healthcare, expect to maintain a Western lifestyle at a far lower cost. If you are readily irritated by red tape, bureaucracy, or the possibility of corruption, then this is not for you. If you are extremely sensitive to threats of natural disasters or safety issues, if you cannot live in a hot, muggy environment all year round, if you are dependent entirely on landing a solid, well paying job when you get here without any prior planning or in demand abilities, if you lack tolerance, flexibility, and a sincere desire to fully engage with a culture that differs from your own, then the Philippines is not for you. Or you are not ready to do what needs to be done to live in the Philippines. The Philippines may be an amazing and rewarding location to call home for many expats who are ready to take on these challenges with an open mind, a sense of humor, and a sincere desire to comprehend and connect with the local way of life. But for those who hold rigid expectations and are resistant to significant adjustments, the Pearl of the Orient might just lose its luster for them. All right, guys, that is all for today's show. If you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a good day.